Hello friends, it's time for Power Rankings. So we're going to start with the Battle Royale that I talked about earlier. I have it set up, a round robin, and then after everyone does 5 matches, we will do the Tournament of Champions. So the first battle is between myself and Tyler. One last quick thing. There are ties technically in this, and that's I'm just using a simulator that it goes up to 40 damage, so theoretically both people in the simulator can apply more than 40 damage on the last turn, and that would end in a tie. So for the first battle, Scott versus Tyler, the victor is myself. So I was using a sword, Tyler was using the glaive, and the battle went as follows. Scott deals a severed head to Tyler for 40 damage. And Tyler deals a shallow cut on left shoulder to Scott for 3.5 damage. Tyler has died. So that is 1 victory for myself and 1 loss for Tyler. The next battle will be between Lee, who is using the whip, and Nick, who is using the sword, or S-word, depending on how you want to look at it. So this one is a very lengthy battle compared to the first one, with Nick coming out victorious. I'm not going to read all of it just because there's a bunch of lines, but the biggest hits, Nick deals a deep gash on forehead to Lee for 9 damage points, and Lee deals a deep gash on back of head to Nick for 9 points. Lee, you're going to have to teach me how you got a whip to hit someone in the back of the head. But until then, you have fallen victim. Nick has been awarded 1 victory and Lee 1 loss. The next battle will be between Lee, who's using the whip, and Eric, who is using the bow, because he has no imagination and couldn't pick another weapon because bow was the only one he's used. Fucking lame. And lame it was, as Eric has been defeated. Highlights: Lee deals a deep gash on forehead to Eric for 9 damage points. Eric deals an arrow deep in chest to Lee for 9 damage points as well. And another one deep to the stomach of Lee. Lee, you're one tough son of a bitch. So Lee gathers his first victory while Eric takes the loss. So Lee 1 win, Eric 1 loss. The next battle will be between Tyler, who is using the glaive, and Nick, who is using the sword. Results: Nick has died. Tyler deals a stab through heart to Nick for 40 damage points. That'll do it. Congratulations, Tyler, on your first victory. Tyler has 1 win and 1 loss. Nick has 1 win and 1 loss. The next battle will be between Scott, myself, using the axe, and Lee, using the whip. In a lengthy battle, Lee has died. Key battle points: Scott deals a deep gash on back to Lee for 8.5. You shouldn't turn your back on a battle, Lee. And Lee deals a deep gash on stomach to Scott for 9 damage points. Scott deals a deep gash on chest to Lee for 9.5. That's the one that did you in. So I'm victorious. That is my 2nd win. Lee has suffered his 2nd loss. The next battle will be between Nick, using the sword, and Eric, using the bow. Eric has died yet again. Congratulations, Nick, on your 2nd victory. Highlights: Nick deals a stab in chest to Eric for 9.5 damage points. Eric, your greatest damage was a meager 4. Eric deals a shallow cut on stomach to Nick for 4 damage points. You should really shoot the arrows, not so much just try and poke people with them. Nick is 2-1. Eric suffers his 2nd loss. Next battle: Steve, using the glaive, and Tyler, also using the glaive. Hopefully this is a good battle. Not so much. Tyler has died. Only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 total turns, or 4 turns, 1 for each person, so 8. Big ones. Tyler deals a deep gash on forehead to Steve for 9 damage points. Oh, Steve deals a stab in neck to Tyler for 40. That'll do it. That means, Tyler, you were playing great defense here. You had 3 blocks. Tough loss. So Steve, in his first battle of the day, pulls in the victory while Tyler suffers his second loss. Next battle will be between myself and Eric. Now we know how this is going to go because I was talking shit and Karma's going to kick me in the balls. Oh, nope. Eric has died. Scott deals a deep gash on the forearm to Eric for 8 damage points. Another one for 8 later on. A lot of misses in this one. Good defense. Eric deals an arrow deep in the bicep to Scott. I've had that pain before, you know, when you're just doing so many curls, but it's been a while. Anyways, Eric suffers his 3rd loss and is tumbling in the standings. The next matchup, Steve using the glaive versus Nick, who is using the sword. Steve has died. Steve started out well with a deep gash on the chest to Nick for 9.5 damage points. But after that, you had 1, 2, 3 straight misses. 4 out of the next 5 were misses, where Nick just slowly kicked your ass. Deals a deep gash on stomach to Steve for 9. Deep gash on right calf for 8. You were pretty much screwed from the beginning. Nick has been victorious and secures his 3rd victory, while Steve suffers his 1st loss. Next battle, Tyler with the glaive versus Lee using the whip. And Lee has died. Big marks. Tyler deals a deep gash on back to Lee for 8.5. I told you earlier, stop turning your back. Right calf for 8 on Lee. That's not good. And Lee, your biggest was a 4. Shallow cut on chest to Tyler. I guess your whipping wrist was feeling a little sore in this matchup. Tyler has climbed to 2-2 while Lee has fallen to 1-3. The next matchup is myself using the axe versus Steve using the glaive. And I have died. Steve has knocked me off my perch. Big hits. Steve deals a deep gash on forehead to Scott for 9. He dealt a deep gash on his chest for 9.5. And he gave me another one on the cheek for 8.5 late in the battle that really clinched it. So Steve, congratulations on your victory. The next battle is between Tyler and Eric. Eric, what are you using? The bow. That's right. And Eric has died yet again. Big hits. Tyler deals a stab and forearm to Eric for 8.5. And nothing really big for you, Eric. Oh, maybe a 6er here. Deals an arrow and bicep to Tyler. You love them biceps, but you got to go for something a little more damaging or critical. Tyler with his 3rd victory, finishing 3-2 in the standings, while Eric has dropped to 0-4. Next battle, myself versus Nick. And this one has huge standing implications, because we are both 3-1 currently, and this is our last matchup. And Nick has died. Ooh, I started off with a miss, and Nick comes back with a severed left arm at shoulder for 10 damage points. You cut my arm off, my left arm, and I was able to take you down with an axe with one hand. That's bad, man. That's really bad. So I've clinched first place in a first-round bye with my 4 wins and 1 loss. Nick falls to 3-2, tied for Tyler. Next battle is Steve with the glaive versus Lee with the whip. And Lee has died. Big one. Steve deals a stab and back to Lee for 9. I'm not gonna mention it again, Lee. Steve deals a deep gash on stomach to Lee for 9. Lee deals a deep gash on right thigh to Steve for 8. And a deep gash on the cheek to 8 for 8.5 on Steve. There's just some big hits, but oh, this is the killer. Steve deals a stab through heart to Lee for 40 damage points. That'll do it. So Steve secures his third victory. Well, I was mistaken when I said I clinched first place, because Steve is now 3-1 with one battle left versus Eric. And the winner is Steve. Eric has died. Big hits. Steve for 8.5, stab in the thigh to Eric. For 10, stab on the neck to Eric. Oh man, Eric, would you have your eyes closed? Severed right forearm and elbow to Eric for 9 damage points. Stabbed in the bicep, Eric, 8.5. Good Lord. So, round robin is over, and the overall standings look like this. So, there was this tie for first. Both Steve and I finished 4-1, but Steve beat me, so he clinches first. I finished second. We had a tie between Tyler and Nick, so their matchup went Tyler's way, so Tyler finishes third. Nick finishes fourth. Eric, you were last with your 5 straight losses. And Lee, congratulations on not finishing last at 1-4. Now it's time for the Tournament of Champions. So the first round is single elimination. The second round is best of 3. And the third round is a best of 5. Hold on, I am just finishing up the bracket, typing it up. So, in our first matchup, we're going to have Tyler versus Eric. And we know how that matchup went because Eric lost every match. And in the second matchup, it will be Nick versus Lee. How fitting. And I mean that because you guys are best friends, that's all. So Tyler with the glaive versus Eric with the bow. And the victor is Tyler. Big win, big hits. Tyler, deep gash on back to Eric for 8.5. Deep gash on right thigh to Eric for 8. Another on the right thigh to 8 for 8 on Eric. Severed left leg at hip for Eric at 10 damage points. So you were down, you started with 4 limbs, finished with 2. That generally doesn't bode well in your favor. So Tyler, since you were the 3 seed and 1, you'll be facing myself in a best of 3 in the second round, which means the victor of the next round will be facing Steve. So Nick battling with the sword versus Lee with the whip. And Lee has died. A long battle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. 11 attacks each in a long and dangerous battle with very few misses. Only 2 total misses. It was a good gladiator battle here. Highlights. Nick with a deep gash on the back of head to Lee. Deep gash on forehead to Lee. Lee, you really should have worked on blocking your head. And Lee had a big one, deep gash on forehead to Nick for 9 damage points. And a deep gash on the right thigh to Nick for 8 damage points. But unfortunately, Lee has suffered yet another loss. The next round will be Steve with the glaive versus Nick in the sword. Remember, this is a best of 3. And the first battle belongs to Steve. Couple of big highlights. Steve deals a deep gash on the forearm to Nick for 8 damage points. Deep gash on forehead to Nick for 9 damage points. I think I said forehead the first one. That was left forearm. My apologies. And Nick had a deep gash on the left calf to Steve for 8. So, Steve leads 1-0. In round 2, a tie. Both have died. Couple of highlights here. Nick deals a deep gash on cheek to Steve for 8.5. Steve deals a deep gash on forehead to Nick for 9. Nick deals a severed right hand at wrist to Steve for 9. Nick, if you're going to sever limbs, you got to pull in the victories. Jesus. So the next one No, we'll have to do two more. Well, if Nick wins this one, we'll have to do two more. And battle number 3 belongs to Nick. Now we are tied 1-1-1 each. Nick with a couple of damaging blows. 9.5, 10, 9.5. You came out with a vengeance. I'm proud of you, Nick. And the last, 4th and final battle belongs to Nick. The upset. Another long battle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 10 rounds each. Highlights. Steve deals a deep gash on chest to Nick for 9.5. Steve deals a severed right hand or wrist to Nick for 9. Oh, you got to taste your own medicine there, Steve. Nick deals a stabbing foot to Steve for 8. I guess it works when you pin him to the ground, but nicely done. So Nick has moved on to the final battle, final round of the Tournament of Champions. The next round is between myself and Tyler. I was using the axe, Tyler is using the glaive. And battle number 1 belongs to Tyler. Another long one, looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 18 rounds. Tyler dealing a deep gash in the back of my head for 9. There's karma. Tyler delivering a deep gash on right thigh to Scott for 8. And my biggest was an 8er. Deep gash on left bicep to Tyler. I don't know what it is with us and biceps, but oh well. Round number 2 belongs to Scott. Tyler's died in a quick battle. And it started off poorly for me. A miss, and Tyler did, and then dealt a deep gash on my neck for 10 damage points. But after that, 1, 2, 3 misses. Oh, here's the final damaging blow. Scott deals a split skull to Tyler for 40 damage points. So with the series tied at 1, the final battle belongs to Tyler. Congratulations. Tyler deals a shallow cut on left forearm for 6. Severed right calf at knee to Scott for 9. That'll do it. Deep gash on chest to Scott for 9.5. You just beat me to fucking shit. Well done. The final is between Nick and Tyler. And this is a best of 5 matchup. Nick is using the sword. Where is it? There it is. And the first of the best of 5 belongs to Tyler. Big damages. Tyler deals a stab and thigh to Nick for 8.5. Nick deals a deep gash on stomach to Tyler for 9. Oh man, lots of 8s and 9s in this one. Nick with a deep gash on Tyler's right forearm for 8. Deep gash on stomach to Nick for 9 for Tyler. Deep gash on forehead of Nick for 9. Man, you guys just went at it. But round 1 is Tyler's. Matchup number 2 belongs to Tyler. It started off with Nick dealing a shallow cut on left shoulder to Tyler for 3.5 damage points, and then Tyler stabbing Nick in the eye for 40 and killing him. Tyler's taking a commanding 2-0 lead. In round 3, Nick was victorious. Back against the wall, and he stepped up. And that was after Tyler cut off Nick's left arm and right arm. So how you won using your mouth, that's incredible, Nick. That should almost be worth 2 victories right there. And battle number 4, Tyler's died yet again, and Nick has tied it. Again, Tyler, your first damaging blow was to cut off Nick's left foot. And then you cut off his... Oh no, then Nick cut off your right foot. And then a lot of low blows. 3.5s. A lot of 3.5s and 4s. Biggest one, Tyler deals this. Oh, you cut off his left arm at the elbow. You cut Nick's left arm off for 9.5, and yet you still couldn't be victorious. Man. Tyler, that is not good. But it has come down to the last and final battle, and the victor is Nick. I'm going to scan this real quick for any severed limbs. Nope. Oh, yep. Tyler's very last hit was a severed left forearm at Nick for 9.5, but then Nick dealt a deep gash on the stomach for 9 damage points to knock Tyler off. So Nick, congratulations on winning the Tournament of Champions. It was a long and painful process because they had to reattach every limb that was taken off, and that's very painful and hard to do. However, it was a glorious battle, a glorious set of battles, and you guys all performed excellent. With that being said, my final power rankings are as followed. Lee, Tyler, Eric, myself, Nick, and Steve. And that's in reverse order, so Lee is last, Tyler's 5th, Eric is 4th, I'm 3rd, Nick is 2nd, and Steve is 1st. Tournament of Champions was really just to have some fun, so. Thanks for listening, guys. Go get them. Eric, get your shit together.